Hi, this is Francisco Bijan from vitalcoaching.com. We are talking about couples and relationships, and the topic for this video is stick to the facts. Listen to what they really say. The key idea here is that very often in relationships, in communication, a person is going to say something and the other person is going to interpret those facts or this very specific fact, what the person is saying, in a totally different way than what it was meant. Okay? So the key idea to understand is that you have the fact, which is what the person is saying, and then you have the interpretation of this fact, which is what the other person is making out of this original fact. So what you have to understand, which is very, very specific, it is that your mind is a filter. And this filter is built up through an accumulation of experiences that you had over the past, an accumulation of experiences that you had with that specific person, things that you build up yourself, and takes reality and interprets it and creates a picture out of this reality. And this picture that you create can be very different than the original fact. So I'm going to give you an example which is very specific. Okay? Imagine that you are a woman and you are married or dating this guy. You are supposed to have dinner with that person, 7 o'clock. He's supposed to come back home. At 6 o'clock he gives you a call and he says something like, "Look, I would really like to make it for 7 o'clock, but unfortunately I have something urgent to finish at work and I'll be there at 8 o'clock instead of 7. Okay? So when you listen to this fact, there is literally no problem, right? He's simply saying that there is a priority, there is something urgent that needs to be solving, and that he will simply be there at 8 o'clock. From 8 o'clock, the dinner can go on, you are going to have a great evening, everything is going to be fine. But, you know, very often what your mind is going to make with that specific event is create a chain reaction of deductions, interpretations, which are going to turn the whole situation into something which it is not in the first place. Okay? So your mind might start saying things like, "He does not love me enough. If he would love me, he would be here at 7. Okay, that's something that your mind can tell you or say, which is a very different thing than the original fact. He can say, your mind can tell you, "He always chooses for work first. I am alone. People always do that to me." And you notice that this whole series of interpretations actually make something much bigger out of the situation than what it is really. So the key strategy here is to stick to the facts. All these negative interpretations that I give you from that specific event are limiting self-beliefs. They are self-victimization interpretations, and they can totally mess up your relationship and the way you stand in it, literally. Because in many, many situations you are going to be faced with a very simple fact which doesn't mean much, but you turn it into something which can be big. So the key idea is to go back to the fact and listen to what the person is really saying. What are the facts? Okay, the fact is, I have an urgent thing I need to finish at work and I'll be there 1 hour later. That's it. This is the fact. All the interpretations are things that are added on top of that, and very often they are extremely misleading. Okay? Positive interpretations of the thing would have been like, "Great, it gives me one more hour to prepare a dessert," for instance. "It gives me 1 more hour to have a chat with a friend that I wanted to call. Great, I didn't have time to do some yoga when coming from work. I'll take time for that now. It's excellent that he comes 1 hour later because I was actually totally stressed out by having to finish the dinner on time." You know, you can have a whole lineup of interpretations, and some of them are going to be positive and some of them are negative. Now, if the interpretation that you have is positive, that's great. You know, that's a good thing to focus on, because it actually builds up more of your self-esteem, more of the positive connection that you have with this guy. But if the interpretations are negative, then eventually it puts you into into an emotional hole, into this kind of self-victimization pattern, and it's not something you want to be in. So the key idea overall is simply to stick to the facts. When you notice that your mind is spinning and creating a very different picture of reality out of your, the filter of your mind, then go back to the facts and really look at fact exactly the way it is. What is he really saying? I be home 1 hour late. This is it. This is the fact, okay? So the key idea for today is stick to the fact. Listen to what the person is really saying. Okay? Take care for now, and bye-bye.